All right, let's dive in. Today, we're going to unpack a pretty wild story. The journey of a startup that built a fully automated, modern tech company, literally from the ground up, starting with a blueprint that cost absolutely nothing.
So, you might be asking yourself, what does it actually take to build that kind of machine? I mean, it's a huge question, right? The answer touches everything from the very first line of code all the way to some really complex crypto economics that make the whole thing work. This is that story.
Okay, so every great story has to start somewhere. Well, this one kicks off with a pretty radical idea, a blueprint for a software-as-a-service company. You know, a SaaS business like Netflix or Spotify, but with a crazy twist, zero, and I mean zero, ongoing costs. Let's see how on earth they pulled that off.
And this right here, this was the mission statement. I mean, just think about how bold this claim is for a second. A system that completely runs itself, that brings in money, but without any monthly bills for servers, databases, or any of that usual tech stuff that bleeds a startup dry.
So how do they hit that magic number, $0 a month? Well, it's all about being scrappy and smart. They basically daisy-chain together all these incredible tools that have generous free plans. You're talking hosting on Vercel, databases on Superbase, even the email forms are free. It's really a masterclass in building something from nothing.
So you've built the machine for free. Now let's see how the assembly line works. Imagine you're a customer. You land on the site, you click Start Free Trial. No credit card, no hassle. And boom, the machine just kicks in. It's sending you emails, it's nudging you to upgrade, and it handles all the payments automatically. No human ever has to touch it. It's a completely hands-off revenue engine.
All right, so we've got this beautiful, cost-free engine humming along. That's cool, for sure. But what's it for? What's the point? Well, this machine was built to fight a monster of a problem. $4.5 trillion. Just let that number sink in. That is the insane estimated size of the global market for fake stuff. We're not talking about some small niche issue here. This is a massive global crisis that affects pretty much everything you buy. And if you're a business, you're getting hit from all sides. First, you've got counterfeiters literally stealing your brand. Then, your customers are getting more and more skeptical about whether your product is even real. And the tools you thought would help, like a simple QR code, turns out they're kind of dumb. They don't protect you, and they sure don't connect you to your customers.
So that begs the big question, right? Is there a silver bullet? Could you actually invent one thing that acts like a fortress to protect your product and at the same time a superhighway to connect with your customers? Well, the answer is a big, loud yes, and it's called QRon. Now, I need you to forget everything you think you know about QR codes. This is not your restaurant menu QR code. Think of it more like a QR code on steroids.
And you can see the difference right away. I mean, look at this breakdown. It tells the whole story. You've got blockchain, which makes it basically impossible to fake. You have automated workflows built right in. You've got augmented reality experiences, even AI to tell a product's story. Other guys, they might do one of these things. Maybe QRon bundles the whole shebang.
This really puts it in black and white, doesn't it? On one hand, you have the, well, dumb QR code. It's just a link. It can be copied. It doesn't tell you anything. And on the other, you have the QRon. It proves something is real. It talks back to you. It tells a story. It's a total game changer.
Okay, so the tech sounds awesome on paper, but the real question is always the same. Does it actually work out in the wild? Let's check out a couple of real-world examples that are pretty eye-opening. So first, we're heading to a cannabis farm. Yep, you heard that right. Green Valley Farms was in a really tough spot. They were getting hammered by fakes, which was damaging their brand. They had zero clue who their actual customers were, and they were just buried in all sorts of legal paperwork.
And then they brought in QRon. The results are just, wow. Counterfeits? Gone. Vanished. They grabbed almost 2,000 verified customer leads in just 90 days. And here's the big one, the number that makes businesses drool. Their repeat customer rate shot up by 65%. That is a huge return. And hey, you don't have to take it from me. The COO of the company himself said, and I quote, "Con paid for itself in the first week." You know, when you hear that from a client, you know you've built something that solves a really painful problem.
All right, let's switch gears and jump from a farm to a totally different world, a big tech conference. Their headaches were different, but just as painful. People were sneaking in with fake tickets, their sponsors were super unhappy because they weren't getting any leads, and once the event ended, just crickets, no engagement. And you guessed it, here comes QRon to the rescue again. Fake tickets became a thing of the past. Lead capture? They went from almost nothing to getting info from 65% of all attendees. Can you imagine how happy the sponsors were? Suddenly, every single badge wasn't just a piece of plastic, it was a little data-collecting, engagement-driving powerhouse.
Okay, these results are killer. The tech is clearly powerful, but there is one more layer to this whole thing, the secret sauce, if you will. This is where it gets really interesting, because we're about to dive into the crypto engine that makes this entire ecosystem tick.
So let's talk about this token. It's what's called a revenue-backed token, and that name is super important. You know how a lot of crypto projects just kind of print new tokens out of thin air? Well, this is the exact opposite. The rewards here are funded by real money, cold hard cash that the company actually makes from its customers. This connects the token's success directly to the business's success. It's not built on hype, it's built on real revenue.
So where does all that revenue go? Well, it gets automatically funneled right back into the system, almost like a self-sustaining organism. Some of it funds security, some of it powers all those cool AI features, and this last part is really neat. 20% of it gets burned. It's basically like a company buying back its own stock. Those tokens are destroyed forever, which makes every other token out there just a little bit more rare and, in theory, more valuable.
And last but not least, the token gives power to the people who believe in the project the most. It's a concept called staking. Just think of it like a high-yield savings account. You lock up your tokens, and in return, you get better rewards and more of a say in the future of the platform. It's a win-win that rewards long-term commitment.
So when you put it all together, what do you see? You see a journey that starts with a simple, $0 idea and blossoms into this incredibly complex, self-funding ecosystem. But really, at its heart, it is all about one thing: trust. And that leaves us with a pretty profound final thought to chew on. What if every single thing you owned, from your shoes to your phone, could tell you its life story, and you knew for a fact that it was telling the truth?